says team. Okay, but you can have a stellar team, but without the right idea and without the right market, you may not be able to get anywhere. By same token, you have the best IP in the world, without the team and the investors to help you take it to market will be very difficult. And one thing we learned, and this is going back from a venture capital perspective, not necessarily an entrepreneur, we always invest with the exit in mind. Let me repeat that. We always invest with the exit in mind, because if I'm going to give you $1, how many dollars am I going to get back? So to your question, you know, it's the exit. So what's going to be, what am I investing in, and how am I going to be able to do that? And usually how long? The venture community, because of the downturn economy in the world, has been challenged because exit IPOs are not there. So everybody talked about, oh, you know, you go and do a venture capital funded company, and you'll go IPO and everything is going to be great. Well, the IPO market is non-existent, especially in the US. Of course, Asia, different emerging markets, things are changing, but without that lack of liquidity, people get impatient. Things are taking longer. Therefore, how do you work through by making sure that you will eventually get the exit? So when we talked about market, hold on, let's see how we work these. The market, you know, a lot of presenters were good at outlining the market they were going after. Some of them were better than others. What is the total addressable market? In what way your product would be differentiated? Is the need that I'm going to, is a must-have or nice to have? That's a big question. So whatever you're creating, is it something that people like to have, or is it something that people need to have? So that difference becomes a pull market or a push market. If it's something that is nice to have, you're going to keep on pushing and trying to figure out how people to adopt. But if it's something that people will need or will become a need, then it becomes a pull, and it's much easier to do that. On the other hand, when you go to market strategy, you can create the pull, but for now, that's the first criteria you need to figure out. What am I doing? How big it is? Who are my competitors? Is this a push? Is this a pull? And go from there. Moving to the next one, your solution. A lot of the questions from the panel were specifically asking about the solution, how unique it was and how defensible it was. Because, you know, if it's something that you put together, makes sense, looks good, but somebody else can do that with more resources much quicker, ain't gonna be defensible. It's gonna be very hard. And patents, yes, it's a good thing to have, but not always be the only thing that will allow you to defend the IP that you have. And oftentimes it's not technology, often it's a process, oftentimes the uniqueness is your partner. You're coming to market with a partner in mind, and I'm going to drive through Google, the Google bus network, whatever it is. So the differentiation has to be high. It's not good enough to just be slightly different. It has to be broadly different, and then it has to take time to be able to replicate. So from that perspective, when you think of the offering, you need to figure out how different it is, and what is the barrier of entry for somebody that wants to compete or get into your market. Now, I would say that if there's one element out of the 5 elements that is perhaps the most important and the VC is looking to more and more, is the go-to-market strategy. Go-to-market strategy goes about how do I price it, how do I get the product to market. Oftentimes, as an entrepreneur, you want to go and knock the door one by one, and people adopt it and create the reference accounts, and other people will create a viral effect, and people will adopt it. But the reality is, you should have a map in mind where, you know, you see that square there, it says if the customer's at the end, and in the left side of the time is you are the only one getting to the customer. When do you bring partners to be able to reach the customer and be able to create the multiplier effect that win behind the sale so that you can go faster? So it becomes very important to be able to figure out what your go-to-market strategy. So besides the pricing, besides who are your design partners, because they're the ones that give you the credibility that this is something that is what's done for somebody addressing a real need, you actually need to figure out how you get the early adopters to get you there. I guess in the slide that I always use with entrepreneurs when I'm talking to is, you know, over time, you're looking for adoption. Whatever you do, whether you sell a product, a service, offering, whatever. So over time, you want to have the biggest adoption. Everybody wants to have, with the little time, the most adoption. But in reality, it doesn't happen. So you need to figure out how do you attract somebody. If it's Apple that is going to be the one driving you, Apple is not going to pay attention if you don't have the right reference accounts and you don't have the right validation. Therefore, you may get partnerships or people that can help you drive adoption, and the first one may not be the ultimate ones. Those will be the ones that will help you give you the credibility. You may create a co-marketing agreement. You may create a reselling agreement, a referral agreement. You can do an OEM, you can do a bundle, you can do a number of white labeling schemes. But over time, what becomes very, very critical is how do I get the most adoption in the shortest amount of time? In addition to just understanding, depending on whatever product, service, or business you're trying to do, each of those boxes become names of companies that will take you to market. If you're in the ringtone business or something with mobility, what about the content providers? What about the service providers? What about the telcos? When do they come? The telcos may be the biggest one that will give you the biggest adoption. They're probably the hardest one to get. But along the way, you need to get the 2 or 3 ones that will get you to that point. And over time, what happens to this slide becomes your built-in exit. Because if these partners are willing to give their brand, being willing to risk the brand and the customer base and give you access to one of the most precious commodities, therefore they are interested in your business. So as long as you create the right agreements with them to go to market, they may be the first one to say, why do you want to go public? We'll remove the risk of IPO and we'll give you that broader access to the market. So if there's one thing you need to take away out of this pitch is that besides the 5 points of criteria, market, offering, go-to-market, team, and investors, your go-to-market strategy perhaps is the most important element to figure out how to go to it, because that's what's really going to drive your investment strategy, your go-to-market strategy, and become broadly used worldwide. Team, everybody talks about the team. It's interesting because we sit around and we talk about it, see people that are coming from school, people from corporations leaving work and trying to become entrepreneurs. I think it's a combination of innovation and experience. You have to have the right balance. But there's something that happened to us. We did 2-3 startups. There's a moment of burning the canoe. My first startup, we started working with leading customers. This is in the early days of internet, and we were working with Cisco, Bay Network, Oracle, all of them trying to front end their institutional systems, and we were doing consulting for them. And it was very comfortable. We were making a lot of money, but we wanted to create a product. Leaving the profits that we had, we made about $4 million in profits in 2 years because it was a pretty critical skill that people were looking for. But trying to change the business model from selling consulting to do product is a very hard thing to do. Many VCs say we've never seen something. Very few companies make a successful transition. So it happened to be the metaphor of saying the whole team got together, we want to be a product company. It's like crossing the river and burning the canoe. There's no going back. So there's a lot of analogies about, there's ways in which innovatively you bootstrap your company in order to get investors to do that, but be disciplined. The moment you move, it's very attractive to make money by doing consulting and other things, but you need to be very focused on what you do, and that's what investors look for. So look to your extended team. Look to your extended team. It's not you. There are people like advisors, advisory boards, directors that really can add value. The angels have up to a certain stage they help you. Or VCs help you with different things, and also having independence and former entrepreneurs that can give you their experiences. And again, the culture drives a very important factor to do that. And investors, again, you can choose who they are, the different stages they help you in different ways. I'm amazed of the level of commitment from the government in Singapore to really promote entrepreneurship. It's pretty, I see it in a few places around the world. Canada is another country that does that, and many of them are trying to replicate the model. We're pretty lucky to have that, use that as a way to jumpstart your businesses, but again, try to reach out to broader investors that have the ability to take you to broader markets. Finally, just to repeat what I started with saying, 5 elements become a successful company: market, product, go-to-market strategy, team, investors. Those are you need, it's not like 4 of the 5 will make it. You need all 5 to align to be able to